One of the easiest ways to differentiate yourself as a great candidate is to ask great questions to the person interviewing you at the end of the interview. But most candidates don't do this. In today's video, I'm going to give you a handful of really great questions to ask at the end of your interview with Accenture. Now, this is video 4 of a 4-part series. So if this is the first video you are seeing, make sure you go to the playlist and watch the first 3. They are incredibly instructive and will help you elevate your candidacy when you're interviewing with Accenture. And make sure you stay around to the very end, because at the very end of this video, first of all, the last question is a banger, but I'm also going to tee up one more helpful video on the screen right here that you can watch immediately following this that'll help you be a better candidate. All right, with that being said, let's get into the questions. All right, the first question is a question I would never leave an interview without asking, and that question is, what do I need to accomplish in the first 12 months of being hired in order for you to consider this hire to be a success? It's a great question. For a few reasons. One, I always want to know what their expectations are. Are their expectations realistic or are they unrealistic? Do they know what success looks like? You might literally interview with a hiring manager who does not know what success is in the first 12 months. You probably don't want to work for that person because they don't know what success looks like and it's going to be a moving target. I also want to know, do I feel good about these objectives that I need to accomplish in the first 12 months? And the answer is yes, I feel a lot better about everything. It also allows them to start imagining you as a candidate because you're asking, what do I need to accomplish in the first 12 months in order for you to consider hiring me a success, right? You can also say, what does this person need to achieve in the first 12 months if you don't feel comfortable saying I. But it gets them thinking about you. It lets them know that you're the type of person who is focused on succeeding in the role. And it's just a great question to get tons of information. Now, this next question is a really great question to ask someone to get them talking and get them more involved, and to learn a little bit about them and their time at the organization. And that question is, during your time at Accenture, what is the thing that you are most proud of? It's a great question. If they're a hiring manager, like secretly, you should be hoping they're talking about their people here. Oh, well, my team accomplished blank. But either way, it's good to kind of know. It's good to get them talking. This is good information for you to have. And it's just kind of a good question to have a little bit of dialogue. At the end of the day, people like talking about themselves. They like talking about the things they've achieved. And this is just a great way for you to learn a little bit more about the person interviewing you and ideally have a dialogue about this achievement after you ask the question. They'll tell you what it is and then you go, oh, that's so interesting. How did you go about doing that? Right? And you probe a little bit and you create a dialogue. It's a great way to create a connection in the middle of an interview. Okay, so I love asking this next question. And the next question is, what different skills and behaviors make the most effective people on your team great at what they do? It's a great question because you're going to get a lot of really valuable information here. You're going to find out essentially what behaviors and skills this hiring manager really values, because they're going to tell you, these are the things that make great people great on my team. That's information you want. If there are more interviews, you definitely want that information so you can talk about how you have those attributes in the upcoming interviews, right? That's great information to have. But even if this is a final interview and you ask that question and they tell you the answer, you can say, oh, that makes total sense. In my prior role at ABC company, I would attribute some of my success to me having, and you can literally say one of the qualities or behaviors or skills that this person answered when they answered your question. And it allows you to position yourself as somebody who also shares the skills of the most effective people who work at this company. It is a great way to gain valuable information and then position yourself as an excellent candidate. Now, this next question, the way you're going to say it depends on if they've been at the company for a long time or not a long time. If they've been there for a while, which with hiring managers usually is the case, you can say, what keeps you at Accenture? If they're new to the role, you can say, what attracted you initially to Accenture? And this is great because what you're looking for here is this is just another opportunity to get them talking, to get them sharing with you what it is that they love about working here or attracted them to the role. This is one of those things where people always have a more positive recollection of an interaction with another human if they get to talk more. So you are basically hacking the conversation so that they are going to remember this conversation more positively. It also gives you great information if you want to write a thank you email. A bland, ChatGPT written thank you email does nothing for your candidacy and your chances of getting a job offer. One that recalls something meaningful from the conversation and alludes to it is way more powerful. So it gives you some ammunition for that. But also the immediacy And the enthusiasm in which they're able to answer this question is going to tell you a lot. If they start talking about, oh, I love being here in this job, the team is so great, the culture's so great, I've been given so much opportunity, like that's a good thing. If they struggle to tell you why they stay here or what attracted to you, what attracted them to the role, that's a bit problematic, right? They should easily be able to say, oh, I really like working here because of blank. If they struggle with that, I would be concerned. Okay, this next question is a closing question. It's a question you ask at the very end. So often it's your last question. And the question is, do you have any questions or concerns about my ability to do the job? All right. Very interesting question, because right there are two things that can happen. One, they can go, no, I don't have any questions. I think you're well qualified for this role. At which point you could say, that's great to hear. I'm very interested in next steps. Something like that. Just letting them know that you are interested in the job. Everybody wants to hire someone who is interested in their job. So letting them know you are interested, that's a positive outcome for you. It's a positive thing to do. On the flip side, they might say, well, I think overall pretty good, but the one thing that I was concerned about is I don't think you have enough A, B, and C experience. At which point you thank them for their concern, and if you're able to, you counter it in a non-defensive way. So that might look something like this. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate, you being so forthcoming with that information. I don't know if I did the best job explaining my experience, but at A, B, and C company, I actually did have about 3 years experience where I did, and then you can actually counter it. So one, you're thanking them for being honest. You're not defensive. You're saying, I didn't do a good job explaining some of my background or articulating my experience. And then you basically say, I actually do have some experience doing this, blah, blah, blah. And it's a great way to find a concern that they had anyway. Whether you ask them or not, that concern exists. But the only way you can try to combat that is by asking about it. And if you do that, it's a great way to boost the chances of you getting a job offer. Now, the last thing I want you to do so that you can nail your interview is I want you to learn how to connect with the person interviewing you. Building rapport with that person is a powerful way to elevate your candidacy. So I made this video about it here. So I want you to go watch this video because it's going to give you the last bit of advantage you need to land a job with Accenture. I'll see you over there.